My neighbor installed cameras pointing at my bedroom window, and cops won't help. I'm standing in my bathroom at 2 a.m. holding a flashlight, and there's definitely a red blinking light aimed directly at where I sleep. 3 months ago, I moved into this duplex after my divorce. Seemed perfect. Quiet street, good price, and my neighbor Dave seemed normal enough. Guy in his 50s, keeps to himself, always waves when he sees me. The only weird thing was how he mentioned multiple times that he, quote, likes to keep an eye on the neighborhood. First red flag should have been when he asked what shift I work. I told him I'm a nurse, work nights mostly. He got this strange smile and said, good to know when you're home safe. 2 weeks later, I noticed the first camera, small thing mounted on his fence, angled toward my driveway. When I asked about it, Dave said there'd been break-ins lately and he wanted to protect both our properties. Made sense, so I didn't think much of it. Then came camera number 2. This one was higher up, mounted on his roof. Still seemed reasonable, until I realized it had a perfect view into my kitchen window. When I mentioned it, Dave got defensive, said it was for, quote, perimeter security, and I was being paranoid. Camera 3 appeared last week. This one made my stomach drop. It's positioned on his second-story window ledge, and the angle is unmistakable. It's pointing directly at my bedroom. I called the cops immediately. Officer Martinez came out, looked around for maybe 10 minutes, and basically told me there's nothing they can do. Apparently, Dave's cameras are technically on his property, and unless I can prove they're recording inside my house, it's not illegal. Quote, get some curtains, Martinez said, like that was supposed to solve everything. I bought blackout curtains, but it didn't help the creepy feeling. Then I started noticing other things. Dave always seemed to be outside when I got home from work. He'd wave and make small talk, but his eyes had this intensity that made my skin crawl. Yesterday, I found something that changed everything. I was looking through my bedroom window with binoculars, trying to get a better look at that third camera, when I saw something attached to the back of it, a small solar panel. That's when it hit me. This thing isn't just recording, it's streaming live footage somewhere. I spent all night researching surveillance laws, calling legal aid, even reaching out to a private investigator. Everyone said the same thing. Without proof of actual illegal recording, my hands are tied. But then this morning, I decided to check if Dave had a social media presence. Found his Facebook, and my blood went cold. His profile picture is a photo of my house, not his house, mine. And when I scrolled through his posts, I found dozens of photos taken from angles that could only come from those cameras. Photos of me getting my mail, me in my kitchen making coffee, me coming home from work. I screenshotted everything and was about to call the cops again when my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered and heard Dave's voice. Quote, I saw you looking through those binoculars last night. I'm standing in my bathroom at 2 a.m. holding a flashlight, and there's definitely a red blinking light aimed directly at where I sleep. 3 months ago, I moved into this duplex after my divorce. Seemed perfect. Quiet street, good price, and my neighbor Dave seemed normal enough. Guy in his 50s, keeps to himself, always waves when he sees me. The only weird thing was how he mentioned multiple times that he, quote, likes to keep an eye on the neighborhood. I hung up the phone, my hands trembling so violently I nearly dropped it. Dave's voice kept echoing in my head, that calm, almost friendly tone saying he'd watched me with the binoculars, like we were neighbors chatting about the weather. My heart was hammering against my ribs as I tried to think clearly. This wasn't just creepy neighbor behavior anymore. This was something much darker, and I was trapped right in the middle of it. I needed help, and I needed it fast. The first person I thought of was my friend Maya from nursing school. She'd always been the tech genius among us, the one who could hack into the hospital's scheduling system when we needed to swap shifts. If anyone could figure out what Dave was really doing with those cameras, it would be her. I called her immediately, my voice shaking as I explained everything. Maya listened without interrupting, which I was grateful for because I probably sounded completely insane. Jesus, Sarah, she said when I finished. This guy is seriously messed up. But you're right to be scared. Send me everything you've got, the Facebook screenshots, photos of the cameras, whatever. I'm coming over. Maya arrived within an hour, carrying a laptop bag and looking more serious than I'd ever seen her. She'd always been the joking type, the one who made light of everything, but there was no trace of humor in her expression now. Show me his social media again, she said, settling onto my couch and opening her laptop. I pulled up Dave's Facebook on my phone and handed it to her. She studied the screen, her fingers flying across her keyboard as she took notes. This is definitely illegal, she said after a few minutes. These photos had to be taken from inside your house or from equipment pointed directly at your windows. The cops were wrong. This isn't just some gray area. She pulled up some kind of technical program I didn't recognize. I'm going to try to trace where these camera feeds are going. If he's streaming live footage, there should be IP addresses we can track. I watched her work, feeling a mixture of hope and terror. Part of me wanted to know the truth, but another part was terrified of what we might find. Holy shit, Maya whispered after about 20 minutes. Sarah, you need to see this. She turned her laptop toward me, and my stomach dropped. The screen showed what looked like a network diagram with dozens of connection points. What am I looking at, I asked, though I had a sinking feeling I already knew. Dave's not just watching you, Maya said grimly. This guy has cameras all over the neighborhood. Look at these IP addresses. He's got feeds from at least 12 different locations. My mind raced as I tried to process this information. 12 houses? 12 women, from what I can tell. He's got a whole system set up. And Sarah, she hesitated, her face pale. Some of these feeds are being accessed by multiple users. He's not just collecting this footage for himself. The room felt like it was spinning. What do you mean? I mean, he's selling it. Look at these payment records I found linked to his accounts. She showed me a spreadsheet with names, dates, and dollar amounts. $2,000 a month from someone listed as M. Rodriguez, $1,500 from J. Thompson, smaller amounts from a bunch of other people. I stared at the screen, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Then one of the names caught my eye, and my blood turned to ice. Maya, I whispered, pointing at the screen. M. Rodriguez, that's my ex-husband, Miguel Rodriguez. Maya's eyes went wide. Your ex is paying Dave $2,000 a month? The pieces started falling into place with sickening clarity. All those times Miguel had seemed to know exactly where I'd be. Running into him at the grocery store. I'd only started going to after we separated. Him showing up at the coffee shop near my work, claiming he'd been in the area. The way he always seemed to know my schedule, even though I'd changed everything after the divorce. He's been buying information about me, I said, my voice barely audible. Dave's been watching me and selling reports to Miguel. I thought about all the nights I'd felt like someone was watching me, all the times I'd chalked it up to paranoia from the divorce. I hadn't been paranoid at all. I'd been right. Maya was already pulling up more files. There's more. Look at this. She showed me what looked like a detailed schedule with times and locations, my work shifts, when I went grocery shopping, when I went to bed. Everything was documented with military precision. How long has this been going on? I asked. Based on these records, it's about 3 months, right around when you moved in. 3 months. Dave had been documenting my entire life and selling it to my abusive ex-husband for 3 months. I felt sick. But then something else occurred to me. If Dave was this organized, this systematic, there had to be more evidence somewhere. And if I could get my hands on it, maybe I could finally make the police take this seriously. Maya, can you help me get proof of what he's doing? Something that would hold up in court? She nodded grimly. Absolutely. But we need to be smart about this. If Dave knows you're onto him, he might destroy everything. Over the next few hours, we developed a plan. I would continue acting normal, going about my daily routine, but I'd start feeding Dave false information. If Miguel was using Dave's surveillance to track me, then I could use that against both of them. The next morning, I made sure to have a loud phone conversation near my bedroom window about going to a doctor's appointment that didn't exist. I talked about being nervous, about needing to go alone, about the appointment being at a medical building across town. Then I waited. Sure enough, when I drove to the grocery store instead, I spotted Miguel's car in the parking lot of the medical building I'd mentioned. He was actually sitting there waiting for me to show up. It was working. Dave was passing along my fake information, and Miguel was acting on it. Over the next week, I sent Miguel on a dozen wild goose chases. I had fake conversations about job interviews, doctor visits, dates that didn't exist. Every time, Miguel showed up exactly where I said I'd be, only to find nothing. But I was gathering evidence of his stalking behavior. Maya helped me document every location where he appeared, taking photos and videos from a distance. We were building a case. The breakthrough came when Maya managed to hack deeper into Dave's system. Sarah, you need to see this right now, she said, calling me at work one night. I found something big. When I got home, Maya had her laptop set up with multiple windows open. I managed to access Dave's main server. This guy isn't just some creepy neighbor, he's running a full business. She showed me a website that made my skin crawl. It was set up like a subscription service, offering real-life content featuring authentic situations. The photos were clearly taken without consent. Women in their homes, unaware they were being watched. He calls it reality streams, Maya said. Customers can pay monthly fees to access live feeds and recorded content. There are different tiers: basic viewing, premium access, custom requests. I felt like I was going to throw up. Custom requests? People can pay extra to request specific types of footage or to have cameras focused on particular areas or activities. Maya's voice was tight with disgust. Sarah, some of these women have no idea they're being watched. Others, I think some of them might be in real danger. We spent the rest of the night documenting everything we could find: names, addresses, payment records, footage samples. Maya copied everything to multiple secure drives. We have enough to shut this down and put Dave away for a long time, she said, but we need to be careful about how we handle this. If Dave realizes what we know, he might try to destroy evidence or worse. I agreed, but part of me was impatient. I wanted Dave and Miguel to pay for what they'd done to me, and I wanted it to happen now. That impatience almost got me killed. The next evening, I was walking to my car after work when I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around and found Miguel standing about 10 feet away, his face twisted with anger. You think you're real smart, don't you, he said, sending me all over town like some kind of idiot. My heart stopped. If Miguel knew I'd been feeding him false information, that meant Dave had figured out what I was doing. I don't know what you're talking about, I said, trying to keep my voice steady while I looked around for help. The parking garage was nearly empty. Don't lie to me, Miguel stepped closer. I know you've been playing games. Dave told me everything. Dave told him everything. That meant they were in direct contact. This wasn't just about Dave selling information. They were actually working together. You always were too smart for your own good, Miguel continued, but you made one mistake. You forgot that I know you better than anyone else. He was right about that. Miguel had always been able to read me, to predict what I would do. It was one of the things that had made our relationship so toxic. He'd used that knowledge to control me, to stay one step ahead of me. But now I was starting to understand something important. If Dave and Miguel were working together, if they knew each other well enough to coordinate like this, then this whole situation was bigger than I'd realized. How long have you been working with Dave? I asked. Miguel smiled, and it was the same cold smile I remembered from our worst fights. Since before you moved in, you think it was a coincidence that the perfect duplex became available right when you needed it, that the rent was so affordable? My world tilted sideways. What are you saying? I'm saying I helped you find that place. I made sure you'd end up right where Dave could keep an eye on you for me. He laughed. You were so grateful for your independence, so proud of yourself for starting over. You had no idea you were walking right into a trap. I felt like the ground was disappearing beneath my feet. Everything about my new life, my fresh start, my escape from Miguel, it had all been orchestrated. I'd never been free at all. But I was also getting angry, and anger was something I could use. You're sick, I said, both of you. When the police find out what you've been doing...
The police? Miguel laughed again. You mean Officer Martinez? The guy who told you to get curtains? He's not going to help you. Nobody is.
That's when I realized Miguel didn't know about Maya or what we'd discovered. He thought I was still alone, still helpless. You're right, I said, forcing my voice to sound defeated. Nobody's going to help me. Miguel's expression softened slightly. He'd always liked it when I gave up, when I admitted he was right. It was part of his control pattern. It doesn't have to be this way, he said, moving closer. You could come home. We could work things out. Home. The word made my skin crawl. There had never been a home with Miguel, only a prison with prettier wallpaper. I need time to think, I said. You have until tomorrow night, Miguel said. Meet me at Dave's house at 8 o'clock. We'll discuss your options. After he left, I sat in my car shaking for 10 minutes before I could drive home. When I got there, Maya was waiting for me, and I told her everything that had happened. This is it, she said. We're calling the police right now. We have enough evidence to put both of them away. But when we called the police station, we learned that Officer Martinez was off duty for the next 3 days. The dispatcher said she could send another officer, but when I explained the situation, she seemed skeptical. Ma'am, if you're not in immediate physical danger, you might want to wait until Officer Martinez returns. He's familiar with your case. Maya and I looked at each other. We both knew that waiting 3 days wasn't an option. If Miguel and Dave suspected we had evidence against them, they would destroy everything and disappear. There has to be another way, I said. Maya was quiet for a moment, then her face lit up. What if we don't wait for the police to come to us? What if we bring the evidence directly to them? She explained her idea. Instead of trying to convince a skeptical dispatcher over the phone, we would go to the police station with all our evidence, videos, photos, financial records, everything. They would have to take us seriously. It was a good plan, but it meant we needed to get everything organized and presented in a way that would be immediately convincing. Maya worked through the night putting together a comprehensive presentation of everything we'd found. The next morning, we drove to the police station with 3 flash drives full of evidence and a printed summary of everything Dave and Miguel had been doing. Maya had even created a timeline showing how the surveillance had escalated over the past 3 months. The desk sergeant listened to our explanation and then called over Detective Johnson, a woman in her 40s who looked like she'd seen everything. "Let me get this straight," Detective Johnson said after reviewing our evidence. "Your neighbor has been running an illegal surveillance operation, selling footage of you and other women to various clients, including your ex-husband, who's been using this information to stalk you." "That's exactly right," I said. Detective Johnson studied the computer screen where Maya had pulled up Dave's website. "This is definitely illegal. Multiple felonies, actually. How did you obtain this evidence?" Maya explained her technical investigation, carefully avoiding mentioning any illegal hacking she might have done. "This is good work," Detective Johnson said. "We'll need to verify everything independently, but this gives us enough for search warrants. We can raid his house and seize his equipment." "What about Miguel?" I asked. "He's been paying for this information and using it to stalk me." "We'll get him too. Conspiracy charges, stalking, possibly more depending on what we find on Dave's computers." For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. It was almost over. Detective Johnson scheduled the raid for that evening. "We'll hit his house at 7 o'clock before your ex-husband is supposed to meet you there. We want to catch Dave with all his equipment intact." But when 7 o'clock came and went without any word from the police, I started to worry. Maya and I were waiting at the police station, and Detective Johnson looked increasingly frustrated as she made phone calls. "There's been a problem," she finally told us. "When our officers arrived at Dave's house, it was empty, cleaned out completely. No computers, no camera equipment, nothing." My heart sank. He knew we were coming. "It looks that way. We're issuing warrants for both him and your ex-husband, but they seem to have disappeared." Maya and I drove home in silence. We'd been so close to ending this nightmare, and now Dave and Miguel were in the wind with all their evidence destroyed. But when we got to my house, Maya grabbed my arm. "Wait, look at Dave's place." I looked across the yard and saw lights on in Dave's house. I thought the police said it was empty. Maybe they came back for something they forgot. We called Detective Johnson immediately, and she said she'd send officers right over, but I had a terrible feeling that Dave and Miguel weren't just back to collect forgotten items. They were there for something else. Something involving me. "We should leave," Maya said. "Go to a hotel or something until the police sort this out." She was right, but as we were packing a bag, I remembered something that made my blood run cold. 3 weeks ago, during one of my lowest points after the divorce, I'd gotten drunk and decided I needed a place to escape to. Somewhere I could go when my own house felt too exposed, too vulnerable. I'd found a listing on Craigslist for a small furnished room in a house across town. The owner had been understanding about my situation and let me rent it by the week. I'd only used it a few times when I felt like I couldn't be in my own space, but it had been a comfort knowing it was there, my secret refuge. But now I was remembering that phone call I'd made while drunk. The voice on the other end had been friendly, accommodating. He'd asked a lot of questions about what I needed, what would make me feel safe. I'd thought he was just being thorough, but now— "Maya," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "I think Dave knows about my backup place." I explained to Maya about the room I'd rented, how I'd made that call while blackout drunk, how accommodating the landlord had been. As I spoke, the pieces fell into place with horrible clarity. "The voice," I whispered. "Oh God, Maya, I think it was Dave's voice." Maya stared at me. "You think Dave is the one who rented you the room?" I was so drunk that night, I barely remember making the call, but I remember thinking the guy sounded familiar. I thought maybe I'd met him around the neighborhood. My hands were shaking again. What if I've been paying Dave to watch me in a second location? The implications hit us both at the same time. If Dave controlled my supposed safe house, then Miguel would know about it too. They could be waiting for me there right now. But something else was nagging at me. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my apps, looking for something I couldn't quite remember installing. There it was, a teddy bear nanny cam app. The icon showed a cute cartoon bear, and when I opened it, I was prompted to connect to a device. "Maya, look at this. Why would I have a nanny cam app on my phone?" She leaned over to examine the screen. "When did you install this?" I tried to remember, but those weeks after the divorce were still hazy in places. The drinking, the depression, the desperate attempts to feel safe somewhere, anywhere. I think I bought something when I first went to that room, some kind of security device. The memory was fuzzy, like looking through frosted glass. I was so paranoid about being followed. I remember stopping at a store and buying something small, something I could hide. Maya's eyes lit up. "A teddy bear nanny cam. You bought it and left it in the room." But I forgot about it. I was already trying to connect to the device through the app. I was drunk when I set it up, and I never went back to check on it. The app was searching for nearby devices. After a few seconds, it found one. Teddycam living room. "It's still there," Maya breathed, "and it's still recording." I tapped the live feed option, and suddenly we were looking at a small, dimly lit room. I recognized it immediately. The furnished room I'd rented as my escape, but I wasn't the only one who recognized it. Standing in the middle of the room, going through a dresser drawer, was Miguel. "He's there right now," I whispered. But that wasn't the most shocking part. As we watched, the door opened and Dave walked in carrying a small toolbox. "The camera in the bedroom is acting up again," Dave said to Miguel. "Keeps cutting out every few hours." Miguel looked up from the dresser. "Can you fix it?" "Yeah, just need to adjust the angle. The mount's getting loose." I felt like I was watching a movie about someone else's life. Dave and Miguel were talking like business partners, like old friends. This wasn't just about Dave selling information to Miguel. They were actively working together. Maya was already recording the screen with her phone. "This is it," she whispered. "This is the proof we need." We watched Dave disappear into what I knew was the bedroom, then emerge a few minutes later. "All fixed," he said. "Should give us a clear view of the bed now." The bed? They were specifically monitoring the bed in my supposed safe house, the place I'd gone when I felt most vulnerable, when I needed to feel secure. They'd been watching me there too. But then Miguel pulled something out of his pocket that made my blood freeze. It was a key. I made copies of all her keys while she was sleeping last week, Miguel said, holding up a keyring. House keys, car keys, even the key to her locker at work. Good, Dave replied. Phase 2 starts tomorrow night. Phase 2. Whatever they'd been doing to me for the past 3 months was just the beginning. Miguel sat down on the bed, my bed, the one I'd slept in thinking I was safe. She has no idea how easy this has been. She thinks she's so smart getting her little tech friend involved, but we've been 3 steps ahead the whole time. Dave nodded. The police visit was actually perfect. Now she thinks she's won, thinks we're on the run. She'll let her guard down. And tomorrow night? Tomorrow night we end this game and start the real fun. The real fun. I didn't want to know what that meant, but I could guess from the way they were both smiling. Maya grabbed my arm. We need to call Detective Johnson right now. This footage shows them conspiring, admits to illegal surveillance, everything. But as she spoke, something on the screen caught my attention. In the corner of the room, partially hidden behind a chair, I could see part of what looked like a large duffel bag. Wait, I said. What's in that bag? We watched as Dave walked over to the bag and unzipped it. Inside, I could see what looked like rope, duct tape, and other items I didn't want to identify. Maya's face went pale. Sarah, I don't think they're just planning to watch you anymore. The reality of what we were seeing hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't about surveillance or stalking. Dave and Miguel were planning to kidnap me, maybe worse. We need to get out of here, I said, but Maya was already dialing Detective Johnson's number. Detective Johnson? It's Maya Chen. We have an emergency. Sarah's ex-husband and the neighbor are together right now, and we have video evidence of them planning something bad, really bad. While Maya explained the situation, I kept watching the screen. Miguel and Dave were having what looked like a detailed conversation, occasionally pointing to different parts of the room. They were planning something specific, something they'd clearly thought through carefully. Then Miguel pulled out his phone and made a call. It's me, he said when someone answered. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, she'll be there. My stomach dropped. Tomorrow night at 8 was when Miguel had told me to meet him at Dave's house, but they weren't planning to meet me there. They were planning to be at my escape room, waiting for me to show up at Dave's place. Except I wouldn't be showing up at Dave's place. I'd be somewhere else entirely, thinking I was safe. They're gonna grab me tomorrow night, I told Maya when she hung up with Detective Johnson, but not where I think. They know I won't actually go to Dave's house. They're counting on me going to what I think is my safe room instead. Maya stared at the screen where Dave and Miguel were still planning. It's a trap. The whole thing is a trap. The whole thing is a trap. Detective Johnson arrived 20 minutes later with 2 other officers. When we showed her the live footage, her expression grew grimmer with each passing second. This changes everything, she said. This isn't just stalking anymore. They're planning a violent crime. She immediately called for backup units to surround both locations, Dave's house and my rented room. But when the officers arrived at my escape room, they found it empty. Dave and Miguel were gone, along with the duffel bag. They must have spotted our surveillance or heard something, Detective Johnson said. But this video gives us everything we need. Conspiracy to commit kidnapping, illegal surveillance, stalking. When we find them, they're going away for a long time. But finding them was the problem. Dave and Miguel had vanished completely, leaving behind no trace of where they might be hiding. What do I do now? I asked Detective Johnson. They're still out there, and they know I'm onto them. You're going to stay somewhere safe until we locate them, she said. Do you have family or friends out of state you could stay with? I shook my head. My family was scattered and distant, and I didn't want to put anyone else in danger. We can arrange a safe house, Detective Johnson offered. The idea of hiding in some anonymous location, waiting for Dave and Miguel to be caught, made me feel sick. I'd been hiding and running for months. I was tired of being the victim. What if we used me as bait? I said. Detective Johnson immediately shook her head. Absolutely not. These men are dangerous. They're not just planning to scare you. But they don't know we have the video evidence. They think they're still in control. I was thinking out loud, trying to work through a plan. What if I do something he doesn't expect? Over the next few hours, we developed a plan. It was risky, but Detective Johnson agreed it was our best chance of catching Dave and Miguel before they hurt someone else. I would call Miguel and arrange to meet him, but not where he expected. Instead of trying to avoid the confrontation, I would choose the location and the terms. We'd pick somewhere public but controllable, somewhere the police could set up without being obvious. The next morning, I made the call. Miguel, it's me, I said when he answered. I want to talk. I wondered when you'd come to your senses, he said, and I could hear the satisfaction in his voice. Are you ready to stop playing games? I'm tired of running, I said, which was actually true, but I'm not coming to Dave's house. If you want to talk, we meet somewhere neutral. There was a pause. Where? The coffee shop on 5th Street, the one with the outdoor seating, tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. Why there? Because it's public, because I feel safe there, and because if we're going to work things out, I need to feel like I have some control. Miguel was quiet for so long, I thought he might refuse. Finally, he said fine, 2 o'clock, but Sarah, don't try anything stupid. You know how well I know you. After I hung up, Detective Johnson nodded approvingly. Good choice. That location gives us multiple sightlines and easy access. We'll have plainclothes officers throughout the area. But I wasn't done yet. There's one more thing. I want to check my escape room one more time before tomorrow. Absolutely not, Maya said immediately. That's exactly what they'd expect you to do. That's why it might work. They're not there now. Your officers confirmed the room is empty. But what if I could retrieve that teddy bear camera? What if there's more footage on it that we haven't seen? Detective Johnson looked intrigued. What are you thinking? I'm thinking that if Dave and Miguel have been planning this for months, there might be evidence on that camera of other meetings, other discussions, maybe even footage of them with other victims. It took some convincing, but Detective Johnson finally agreed to let me retrieve the camera under heavy police supervision. 2 officers would go in first to secure the room, then I'd have 5 minutes to find the device and get out. That evening, we drove to the house where I'd rented the room. It looked normal from the outside, just another residential street. But knowing what had been happening inside made everything feel sinister. The officers went in first, quickly confirming the room was empty. Then I hurried inside, looking for the small teddy bear I'd left behind weeks ago. I found it exactly where I'd left it, sitting on the dresser like an innocent child's toy. But as I picked it up, I noticed something else. There were other small cameras hidden throughout the room. Dave hadn't just been using my nanny cam. He'd installed his own professional surveillance equipment. There's more, I called to the officers. Multiple cameras. One of the officers began documenting the additional devices while I checked the teddy bear cam. The memory card was full, which meant it had been recording continuously for weeks. Back at the police station, Maya helped me download and review the footage. What we found was worse than anything we'd imagined. The camera had captured dozens of meetings between Dave and Miguel, planning sessions where they discussed not just me but other women in the neighborhood. Dave showed Miguel footage of at least 8 different women, and they discussed which ones would be good targets for expansion. They were planning to do to other women what they'd done to me. But the most damning footage was from just 2 days ago. Dave and Miguel were sitting on the bed, and Dave was showing Miguel something on a tablet. The Johnson woman thinks she's so smart with her computer skills, Dave was saying, but she has no idea we've been monitoring her internet activity. We know exactly what evidence she thinks she has. Miguel laughed. And the cops? Detective Johnson is competent, but she's working with limited information. As long as we stay ahead of their investigation, we can finish what we started. Dave then pulled up what looked like architectural plans on his tablet. I've been working on this for months. Soundproof basement, multiple rooms, everything we need for long-term projects. Long-term projects, the phrase made my skin crawl. Miguel studied the plans. How many can it hold? 6, comfortably. More if we're willing to get creative with the space arrangement. 6 women. They were planning to kidnap and imprison 6 women in some kind of underground facility. Maya and I looked at each other in horror. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was about preventing something much larger and more terrible. We have to stop this, I said. Detective Johnson, who had been watching the footage with us, nodded grimly. Tomorrow's meeting just became a lot more important. We're not just trying to catch 2 criminals anymore. We're trying to prevent a massive crime spree. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the other women Dave had been watching. Women who had no idea they were being targeted. Women who might end up in Dave's soundproof basement if we failed to stop this. By morning, I was more determined than ever to see this through. Miguel and Dave thought they were smarter than everyone else, thought they could manipulate and control people without consequences. It was time to prove them wrong. At 1:30 p.m., I arrived at the coffee shop on 5th Street. Detective Johnson had briefed me extensively on what to expect and what to do. There were plainclothes officers at nearby tables. In the bookstore across the street, even working as baristas inside the coffee shop. Miguel arrived exactly on time, looking relaxed and confident. He ordered a coffee and sat down across from me at a small outdoor table. "You look tired," he said, studying my face. "This whole situation has been hard on you." "It has," I agreed. "That's why I want it to end." "It can end very easily," Miguel said. "You just need to stop fighting what's inevitable." "What's inevitable?" Miguel leaned forward slightly. "You and me, we belong together, Sarah. We both know that. This whole divorce thing, this attempt at independence, it was just a phase. You're ready to come home now." Home. There was that word again. The word that used to mean safety but had become something twisted and dangerous. "What about Dave?" I asked. "What about all his cameras?" Miguel's expression didn't change, but I caught a flicker of something in his eyes. "Dave's just a concerned neighbor. He was trying to keep you safe." "Safe from what?" "From yourself. From bad decisions. From people who might want to hurt you." It was masterful, the way he twisted everything. In Miguel's version of reality, the surveillance had been for my own protection. The stalking had been caring. The violation of my privacy had been love. "I found out about the other women," I said quietly. That got a reaction. Miguel's confident expression faltered for just a moment. "What other women?" "The ones Dave's been watching, the ones you've been planning to expand to." Miguel was quiet for a long moment, his eyes searching my face. I could see him calculating, trying to figure out how much I knew and what his best response would be. "You've been busy," he finally said. "I've been trying to understand what's happening to me." "What's happening to you is that you're finally seeing the truth. You need someone to take care of you, Sarah. You need someone to make decisions for you, to keep you safe from the world. You've always needed that." "Is that what you call kidnapping? Taking care of me?" Miguel's mask slipped completely then. The fake concern, the manipulative gentleness, it all disappeared, replaced by cold anger. "You have no idea what you're talking about," he said. "I know about the basement, I know about the soundproof rooms, I know about the 6 women you and Dave are planning to imprison." Miguel stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the concrete. "You think you're so smart, you think you can outsmart me, but you have no idea how deep this goes." That's when I saw Detective Johnson give a subtle signal to the other officers. They began moving in from all directions, closing the circle around our table. Miguel must have seen them too, because his expression changed from anger to something like panic. "This is a mistake," he said. "You have no idea what you're doing." "I know exactly what I'm doing," I replied. "I'm ending this." The arrest happened quickly and efficiently. Miguel didn't resist, but he kept staring at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Not anger or manipulation, but something like genuine surprise. "You have no idea what you've started," he said as they put the handcuffs on. "Dave isn't going to let this go. Neither are the others." The others, there were more people involved in this than just Dave and Miguel. But that was a problem for another day. For now, Miguel was in custody, and the immediate threat was over. Detective Johnson approached our table as the other officers led Miguel away. "Good work, we got everything we needed." "What about Dave?" "We'll find him. With Miguel in custody and all the evidence we've gathered, it's only a matter of time." I nodded, but I wasn't entirely convinced. Dave had proven to be smarter and more resourceful than anyone had given him credit for. If there really were others involved, he might have resources we didn't know about. Maya appeared at my side, having watched the whole arrest from inside the coffee shop. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Tired," I said honestly, but also relieved, like I can finally breathe again. It was true. For the first time in months, I felt like I had some control over my own life. Miguel was in custody, we had evidence of Dave's crimes, and the nightmare was finally starting to end. Or so I thought. The end of the line. That evening, as I was finally allowing myself to relax in my own home, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something about the insistent vibration made me answer. "Enjoying your little victory, Sarah?" Dave's voice. It wasn't the calm, friendly tone from before. This was laced with a chilling, raw anger. My blood ran cold. "How are you calling me? The police are looking for you." He chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. "Oh, they're looking, but they won't find me before I make you regret this. You think you're so clever, don't you? With your little tech friend and your fake doctor's appointments." "What do you want?" I demanded, my voice shaking despite my best efforts. "What do I want? I want you to understand that you can't just walk away from this. You've interfered with my business, Sarah. A very profitable business." His voice dropped, becoming a menacing whisper. "And I have something that could really complicate your new independent life." My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" "Let's just say I have some personal footage. From your little escape room, specifically from your bathroom, after your showers." My heart hammered against my ribs. The escape room, the one I'd rented while drunk, the one Dave secretly owned. "You filmed me naked?" The words were barely a whisper. "Oh, not just filmed. High definition, multiple angles. And I've got a whole list of subscribers who would love to see the real-life content that got leaked after my unfortunate legal troubles." His voice was dripping with venom. "Imagine that, Sarah. Your face, your body plastered all over the internet. The nurse who couldn't even protect her own privacy." He paused, letting the silence hang heavy, letting the horror sink in. "So here's the deal. You call Detective Johnson. You tell her you were mistaken. You tell her you lied about Miguel, that you lied about my cameras, that you fabricated all the evidence. You tell her it was a mistake based on emotional distress from your divorce." "I'm not doing that," I managed to choke out. "Oh, I think you are. You have 1 hour, Sarah. 1 hour to make that call and retract everything. If I don't hear about it by then, your little show goes live. And trust me, once it's out there forever." The line went dead. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. Blackmail. This was it. Everything I'd fought for, everything Maya and I had uncovered. It could all be undone, and my worst nightmare would become public reality. The police wouldn't help me here. This was a different kind of threat entirely. I immediately called Maya, my voice breathless as I recounted Dave's chilling ultimatum. She listened, her usual calm demeanor replaced with a furious silence. "That sick bastard," she finally hissed. "He thinks he can get away with this." "What do I do, Maya? If that footage gets out, my life is over. My career, my reputation, everything." "Don't you dare give in, Sarah," she said, her voice firm. "We've come too far. This means we hit him harder, and we hit him now." "But how? He's threatening to leak. He's running. He's desperate. This is a Hail Mary, Sarah. He knows we have enough to put him away for good, and he's grasping at straws. We just need one more piece." "One more piece? We have his whole business exposed." "No, he has something on you. We need something on him that's undeniable, that the police can act on immediately without you having to recant anything." As she spoke, my mind raced back to the escape room, the small teddy bear, the one I'd bought on a drunken impulse. I had completely forgotten about it. The memory was hazy, but I remembered setting it up. I'd connected it to an app on my phone for extra safety. "Maya," I whispered, pulling out my phone. "The nanny cam, the teddy bear one, the one I left in the escape room. What about it?" "I completely forgot about it. I bought it on Amazon after I moved into that room, when I was totally paranoid, just a small thing shaped like a teddy bear. I must have dropped it on the dresser and then just forgot about it." Maya's breath hitched. It might still be recording. I scrolled through my apps, my heart thumping. There it was, buried deep in a folder I rarely used. Teddycam monitor. I tapped it open. It prompted me to connect to a device. After a few agonizing seconds, it connected. Teddycam living room. "It's still there," I breathed, "and it's still recording." I tapped the live feed. The screen flickered to life, showing the dimly lit interior of the rented room, and then my blood ran cold. Dave was there. He was moving around the room, fiddling with something on a wall, and then Miguel walked in, carrying a small black bag. "The cops were almost here," Miguel said, his voice flat. "Good thing you had that police scanner, Dave." Dave grunted. "Yeah, they showed up right after you left. Had to move fast. Luckily, I got everything important from the main house, plus this footage." He gestured to a tablet he was holding. "The raw feeds, including Sarah's after-shower collection from here." My stomach twisted. They were talking about my footage, the blackmail material. "Did you get the money from those new clients, though?" Miguel asked. Dave pulled out a stack of cash and handed it to Miguel. 2,000 from Rodriguez, another grand from Thompson, and this one," he paused, pulling out a separate envelope. "This is the big one, from the guy who specifically asked for the nurse footage from the second location. He wants exclusive access." My ex-husband was standing in my escape room, taking money for footage of me. Maya was already recording the screen with her phone. "This is it, Sarah," she whispered, her voice tight with grim satisfaction. "The unedited version." As we watched, Dave moved to the dresser, right where the teddy bear cam was sitting. He pulled out a small, almost invisible memory card from a hidden slot on the back of the bear. "Just getting the full archive off this little beauty," he muttered. "Never know when a backup comes in handy." He slipped the card into his pocket. Then he looked directly at the teddy bear, a smirk on his face. "Thanks for doing your job, little guy." He picked up the bear, gave it a patronizing pat, and then tossed it into a small box with some other random items. "All right," Miguel said. "Let's get out of here before the real heat arrives." They turned and walked out, leaving the room empty. Maya quickly remote downloaded the footage from the Teddycam before Dave could fully disconnect it or destroy the data. What she found was a goldmine. It captured Dave fixing a hidden camera in the room, then the entire exchange between him and Miguel, the money changing hands, the casual discussion of Sarah's after-shower collection, Miguel confirming he paid for nurse footage. It was everything we needed. "Call Officer Martinez," I said, my voice cold with a new kind of resolve. "Tell him we have everything, and tell him we know exactly where they are." Officer Martinez was on duty this time, and when he heard what we had, his skepticism evaporated instantly. The live feed, the remote download of the Teddycam footage showing the money exchange, and the direct admission of blackmail material. It was undeniable. He didn't even need Detective Johnson. He immediately dispatched units. "We're hitting both locations simultaneously," he said, his voice firm. "Dave's house and that rented room. We'll catch them red-handed." Maya and I waited at the police station. The minutes dragged by like hours, each second a painful eternity. Then Officer Martinez's radio crackled to life. Units at suspect's residence. We have visual. Suspect Dave attempted to flee. Apprehended. Securing equipment now. A few seconds later, another voice came over the radio. Units at secondary location. Subject Miguel Rodriguez is in custody. Funds recovered matching victim statements. Surveillance equipment found. A wave of dizzying relief washed over me. It was over. Just like that. The instant crushing weight lifted. Officer Martinez walked in, a small grim smile on his face. We got him, both of them, and we recovered all the equipment from Dave's house, including the main servers and dozens of hard drives. He held up a small unmarked memory card in a plastic evidence bag, and we found this in Dave's pocket. It's labeled Sarah Bathroom. We'll be securing it as evidence. My stomach clenched, but I nodded. It was better to have it secured than to have it out there. What about the other women? I asked, my voice still a bit shaky. With the evidence we seized, we'll be able to identify every last person involved in Dave's operation, every victim, every client. This is going to expose a lot more than just your neighbor. He paused. You did good, Sarah, really good. The aftermath. The news broke a few days later. Dave and Miguel were officially charged with multiple felonies, including illegal surveillance, stalking, conspiracy, and extortion. The Teddycam footage was the undeniable nail in their coffin. It proved their coordinated efforts, the illegal nature of the surveillance, and Miguel's involvement in paying for the information. The police investigation expanded rapidly. With Dave's servers and financial records, they uncovered a disturbing network of voyeurs and stalkers who had been paying for live content from countless unsuspecting victims. Many of the women Dave had been watching were identified and contacted, their privacy violated, but now they had a path to justice. Miguel, faced with overwhelming evidence and the potential for a lengthy prison sentence, eventually pleaded guilty to stalking and conspiracy. He got 10 years. Dave, with the added charge of attempted extortion and the mountain of evidence from his operation, got 20 years. The judge made a point of citing the egregious violation of privacy and the cynical exploitation of vulnerability in his sentencing statement. For me, the immediate relief was profound. The fear that had been a constant companion for months began to recede. I slept soundly for the first time in what felt like forever, no longer checking for blinking lights or listening for phantom footsteps. I eventually moved again, not because I had to, but because I wanted a truly fresh start, unmarred by the memories of surveillance. I chose a small apartment, installed my own high-quality security system, and consciously left the curtains open, relishing the feeling of control. Maya and I remained incredibly close. She actually ended up getting a job with a cybersecurity firm that specialized in tracking down illegal surveillance rings. She joked that my ordeal had accidentally launched her dream career. The legal proceedings were long and emotionally draining, but seeing Dave and Miguel walked away, knowing they couldn't hurt anyone else, was worth it. I even found a support group for survivors of surveillance and stalking. Sharing my story, hearing others, it was incredibly healing. I learned that freedom isn't just about escaping a physical threat. It's about reclaiming your space, your dignity, and your peace of mind. I was no longer the naive woman who had been preyed upon after her divorce. I was the woman who had fought back, who had uncovered a terrifying truth, and who had helped bring down a dangerous network. My body still held the memory of the violation, but my spirit now held the triumph of resilience. I had stared down my tormentors, and won. And in doing so, I had found a strength I never knew I possessed. That strength was truly mine, and no one, not Dave, not Miguel, not anyone, could ever take that away from me again.